Alright, that's tweeted. This is good. We are ready to rock and roll. So let's see if the players are. Players ready. Alright, they say go. So, sit tight guys, Overgrowth coming up. And you'll enjoy this intro, I hope. See you guys here in a sec. Alright, welcome back to Copa America. Let's go swap those player names around. There we go. As JonSnow is the red guy. This is a fresh game, a fresh best of 3. Spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, though. The blue Zerg player, the Sixth Element.
In the top right, as the red Zerg player, he is JonSnow.
Of course, part of one of the new teams here in North America called Solaris Gaming. Now, again, you guys will have to appreciate the fact that Zombie Grub and I, obviously being the English casters, know a little bit more about the English players prominently. I am, of course, I've had my eyes open in the past. You know, we've obviously seen how Major can play. Jump Rising is probably one of my favorites, not to mention others like LSE, but in the brackets. So, again, I might not know a lot of these players that we see coming into this, like Sixth Element, for example, but I'm very excited to get to learn and see them and basically follow their stories through Copa America. Again, this might not be the big show like WCS is, but it's big to these guys, and it's really important because last year Copa America, guys, I mean, it was all about getting the community going. You know, the part of America that had been forgotten. You know, that's the Latin communities, and they worked really hard to build it up. They had a great season 1, and now the season 2 is fully underway. This is the first qualifier for it.
Probably going to be seeing some different ZVZ this series. Of course, these guys are probably more evenly matched, at least from their Masters and Grandmaster border, although Masters can mean a whole lot of things that I didn't check. But, well, you know.
I think for Grandmaster too, you got to look a lot into the history of, you know, Sixth Element may have been in the past, maybe not, who knows. But I do know that the one thing that sets JonSnow apart from your regular, Joe Schmo Grandmaster is the fact that he's competitive. He's been a competitor. He's taken part in multiple tournaments, team leagues, etc. I know he's got it in him to do well here in this season of Copa America.
Yeah. You know, if you're, you know, like JonSnow, you're competitive, your Grandmaster, and Sixthelement is actually a low Masters, we could see another Somp. Unfortunate as that is, it's, you know, it's all too true in a, you know, relatively big bracket that this will happen until the later stages. Personally, I'm hoping that Sixthelement can definitely show us something really, really cool, and hopefully we're able to see something besides ZVZ Muta versus Muta.
I think Muta versus Muta is honestly a little bit boring to some, but there are some instances where it can be incredibly exciting. One of the best ones I saw recently was Hendrilisk versus Destiny. I mean, Hendrilisk had this massive Mutalisk lead, and I'm talking like 50 versus 30, guys. It was just unfair, but Destiny managed to hold out for almost 15 minutes, build a couple Infestors, and actually won the Mutalisk fight because of that. So sometimes it can look like the boring auto-win, wait to max out, but oftentimes players can and will get around that situation. There's always a way to beat a deficit in StarCraft2. It's just not easy to accomplish. 2 drones!
Yeah, that hurts. That should not have happened. Unfortunate. Now, Sixthelement is going to be down 2 drones. Perfectly, but yeah, I actually like DBZ, but I still also like variation. You know, if we could get a best of 3 where one game is a Ling Bling versus Ling Bling, second game is Muta versus Muta, and the third game is some serious Roach versus Roach Wars, then that'd be a perfect series.
I wouldn't disagree, but of course part of me wants that disgusting ZVZ matchup with the Swarm Hosts and possibly Brood Lords.
No.
I know. I've got there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with my brain, but it's worth noting that if JonSnow does push out, he'll get a second Overlord down here as well. I mean, picking up one's nice.
Players are very forward, literally, with their queens. It will be walking out and killing Overlords, just because, you know, they're very confident in their scouting and that their queens aren't going to die. Now that Ling did get, or those Lings rather, did get a good scout. They saw that there was no gas in the main. Don't have to worry about speedlings on their back. But, you know, you really... you really just can't do a whole lot against the gasless expand, waiting until 5 minutes for those gases unless you really, really dedicate. And a lot of people are choosing not to. They'd rather get a faster third to outgreed their opponent.
I like the wall that's coming down the front. This is something that was lacking a little bit in that last series. We of course saw our other Zerg player, oh my god, do it a little bit later towards game number 2, but JonSnow opened up here to make sure that he doesn't feel the burn from early aggression in the slightest.
No. And the Sixthelement is doing the exact same thing as well. Just a few steps behind, of course, because of those earlier drone losses. Oh, I think he's the only one that dedicated... Yeah, he's the only one who got the speed as well as baneless, unfortunately. That won't be too helpful. Although we have been seeing people try and go for banelings, like... We saw, I forget who it was, but it was pretty much like a one hit and you better win with it, but it was Roach Baneling around the 15-minute mark. They try and kill an all-Roach army.
I've been noticing too, speaking of Roach Baneling, we're seeing a lot more Banelings incorporated into the Roach fights in later games. I think there were some select players like TLO would do it all the time. You'd see like the little bit of differences here and there. Nurchio was one of the ones as well, where they would get in there with Banelings and do a little bit of splash damage. It would be just enough to offset the Roach numbers. I think a lot of players have started cluing in that that's kind of an effective way to play this out. I don't agree that's necessarily the most cost effective, and it's more of like something you want to do only if you're a little bit ahead. But it's really cool to see like everybody sort of adapting these new styles.
It is cool to see a new style in general, as opposed to just always going into the Roach Hydra and then Infester. You can do something that, might be a little more risky because if the Banelings don't hit well, then that's a lot of gas wasted, but still very cool and very powerful. Well, it's cool to see. It's cool to see the change up.
Well, I think one of the things too is, it's again like Infestors. They don't really do the damage they used to. Fungal growth isn't as good. Infested Terrans have been nerfed to the ground, but it's the fact that Fungal holds them in place. It allows you to force fights, and I think that's always like in StarCraft2. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what matchup it is. If you can force a fight on your terms, you're always going to come out better.
Yeah. Unless you severely misjudged.
Yeah, if you're like, oops, I fungled 40 roaches, but I have 12.
Yeah. There's actually, I think there was a GSL game where the player was going Muta versus like a big Protoss ball, and he snipes the recall, and everyone's like, oh my god, this is so huge. But then he loses the Muta Wars anyways. It was like, oh, you wish he had recalled.
You're being driven out of the base. He does see that's roaches, though. It's a nice little confirmation, because, of course, for Sixthelement, he's also gone roaches, and currently, he doesn't exactly have a lead. But this small of a difference, Defender's advantage comes in hard. One of the big things is that Spine Crawler getting into the effect as well.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, he opened up a little less greedy than JonSnow, so this is kind of supposed to happen, as unfortunate it is for Sixthelement. But as long as you can hold out with the Defender's advantage, the differences will minimize.
Minimalize? I guess that's still a word, isn't it? Minimalistic.
It's probably not the correct word.
No, but that's okay. It's Copa América! Yeah, we can say what we want. No, we can't. Blizzard's got very strict rules.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, Sixthelement, he's just banking up the roaches for the time being. And, I mean, we're kind of getting your one supply cap, quote-unquote, where 150 tends to be a bit of aggression. 200 is the definite move-out phase. So right now, it's really on JonSnow to make that decision. As we look at the units right now, guys, not only does he have a very severe worker lead, but his roach count is still looking very strong. Although, granted, it's evened out quite a bit for Sixthelement, it's been at the cost of those drones. He hasn't been able to just drone behind this, and his third is significantly late.
Yeah. JonSnow has been able to do, his own game. He's feeling probably pretty in control, so that includes being able to drone when you want and not feeling too afraid to do so. So, 10 load, 16 drone lead is what comes from that. As well as an upgrade lead. I mean, Sixthelement is right on his heels, but there could be a time where JonSnow pushes in before Sixthelement is done.
Well, a small note, too, because you really see Zerg players get very finicky about this. I do like that JonSnow's done creep spread. I've heard the argument from some that it's like it's not worth it because it gives your opponent a speed benefit too, but it's not so much about the speed or anything like that creep gives. It's about the vision where you can't normally have overlords. Because right now these overlords in the middle of the map for the Sixthelement, if this was Mutalisks, if this was Hydralisks, these would all be dead, gone, and he'd be playing blind in his base. And if JonSnow was in that same scenario, well, he's at least got creep that he can see with.
Yeah. And it looks like JonSnow is going to be pushing out. He's almost max. This is as good a time as any. He will probably push in here.
Oh god, look at that roach count.
See what he can do.
55 to 38.
Yeah, it's quite large. Sixthelement needs about a minute more to even try and get up there.
Yeah, if he had more spine cores, he could fight within them, but that's not even going to be the case here. Big spread does, of course, come out, but JonSnow also segments them off to the third while this is going on. So he's not even fighting with his full forces, and he's still got a concave. He's still got a lead. you know, oftentimes you want to talk about defender's advantage, but it's just not going to cut it here.
No. And, funnily enough, his +2 attack will finish before 6 elements, and adding insult to injury.
Alright, good game's going to be called. JonSnow will take game number 1. 1 up at the moment in the series. And then, like I said before, I gotta go like edit these things manually. So 1 sec. Oh, I'm apparently hosting the next game too. Did not know. So seconds merry-go-round. I was gonna ask if we could create it with GameHeart. Then I remembered this is a Blizzard stream, a Blizzard tournament, and the answer is no. Let's go ahead and invite JonSnow to game here. By the way, just while we're waiting, guys, seriously, big sincere shout out. I see so many friendly Base Trade TV names in chat there. I couldn't be more ecstatic that you guys have joined us here on the broadcast. The one thing I am going to request, though, I don't see many emotes. Where are the Ace Kates? Where's the Ace ZGs or the At What Cost or the Foos? If you guys could do me that kindness, bring a little bit more flavor, a little bit more color to the chat, I'd be greatly appreciated. Or appreciative. I give JonSnow a host there because I don't have his opponent added or anything, so I can't invite him to game. Where's Major? We want to see Major. You know what, guys? Me too. Let me ask. Of course, and before like I go refresh the brackets, and he's been like walked over, disqualified, left, forfeit, something. I don't know.
It's not the case. Don't worry.
I know. You guys can type exclamation mark brackets in chat, by the way. Nightbot will link you to the brackets here. We got a wonderful one we can look at here on the stream as well. So, oops. Voila. So we got the left side, the right side, and we'll talk more about those as we get further into it. For now, though, we're going to stay on the caster screen because we're about ready to go. I just got to set up the lobby prompt screen here. 1 sec. Let's see if they're ready. They are, so we're gonna go. Merry-go-round coming up, boys and girls. Sit tight. We got another sick map intro coming up, and we'll see you in a moment. Some more Zerg versus Zerg action. It's game number 2 if you're just tuning in. It's a best of 3. There's 1-0 at the moment in the favor of the player spawning here in the top left corner of merry-go-round. It's the red Zerg player from Solaris Gaming, JonSnow.
The top right, as the blue Zerg, it is Sixthelement.
Alright, so JonSnow had a pretty decisive game that time. A lot of the problems, you know, we kind of talked about, like, you know, rank versus non-rank, however you want to look at the matchup. I think a lot of it boils down to as well that if you have 2 players who are going to be kind of left idle to do the quote-unquote no-rush 20-minute strategy, it's the better player that's going to macro sooner. They'll know where to cut drones, where it's safe to. I think for a lot of Sixthelement that game, we saw him not making so many drones, not because he was like didn't have money to do anything else, but he was afraid to make anything but roaches. He got a lot of units out early on, whereas JonSnow was sneaking out the odd drone or 2. So while the army supply looked pretty even at one point in that game, we saw how big of a snowball effect your economy really has on it.
Yeah. Of course, JonSnow got away with something that was pretty greedy. I mean, he didn't get speed and he didn't get a Baling Nest. And Sixthelement, while, you know, you might be saying, like, oh, it seems like, you know, coin flippy, you get such a big lead because of that, because, you know, it really is hard to break, even if you try and all in. You can do other things with those lings. Of course, they give you map control where the opponent who's only relying on queens really doesn't. You can keep them constantly paranoid about taking that third and get your own third faster. There are definitely some things that he could have done to take control of the game, because really what the game seemed to be was that JonSnow was in control of the game without even like really trying. It was just a more experienced player.
Well, that's kind of what I talked about too. Like coming into this again, like Grandmaster aside, it's just the fact that he's been a competitor. He knows situations to be stressed out, and honestly, it's only through practice will you learn like where it's safe to make workers or not, where you need to cut drones, how you have to use your larva in those sort of pressure scenarios.
Yeah. See if Sixthelement is just maybe just adapting. It could adapt rather, or this is what Zerg's try and do best. But right now we see JonSnow changing it up just a little bit. He is going for that gas. Gonna get his own speed. Could be seeing maybe some aggression. Maybe he's felt really confident in that game. And of course, being up one is a good opportunity to go ahead and try something a little risky.
Yeah, this is fairly regular for the openings. A big thing we're gonna have to keep an eye on is how much gas these guys take dedicatedly. JonSnow is still taking gas, and looks like Sixthelement has also not taken off. This is one of those things, though, honestly, where if you're a little bit worried about your opponent's skill, like if you come into this as Sixthelement game number 2, you're like, wow, I got really handed to me in game number 1. It wasn't as close as I thought it was. That's when you maybe decide to get a bit aggressive. Try and catch someone who can safely macro while their pants are down. You know, just as the worst thing in a ZVC timing-wise is catching somebody just as they make a round of drones. Because, like, what are you going to do? You can't cancel those.
Yeah, there's pretty much no point, but we do see a baling nest in the main of JonSnow. So we talked a little about it before. It seems to be almost 100% so far, as I've tried to be keeping an eye on it. But if they put it in the main, they're trying to hide it for a reason. They're going to try and kill you. I mean, they can still try it even if they put it in the front, but usually in the main, they're really trying to hide it. So I expect to see at least some aggression from JonSnow. Maybe not an all-in or a crazy amount, but definitely something.
One link does manage to actually get up here.
Well, whoops. This could have completely changed his mind, you know? If he doesn't go for Lings right now, it could be that it was his plan all along, or it could be like that was scouted, why try?
Okay, so we got 10 Lings coming out of JonSnow. He's going to get aggressive. He's going to get really aggressive, but I also want to point out the fight and flight instinct. If that drone had turned around and punched that Zergling one time with 2 Queen support, it would have actually lived instead of trying to run away the way it did. But yeah, that's a lot of Zerglings coming across the map. And what's a little bit sad for JonSnow is he wasn't really able to snipe off any of the overlords to clear this out, so this is clear view.
What is Sixthelement doing? Like, I know you scouted it, but that is not an automatic assumption that they are not going to do it because you scouted it. So you still have to prepare.
Yeah, he's got 12
still making
Lings
drones up until now. Okay,
you know,
this might still be just in time.
But the thing is, this is like 30 seconds later than when you want to cut drones. You have to cut it for the 5.5 minute mark. Like, that's just standard ZVZ for you. These queens get surrounded.
Blocked. Yeah, the Balins are going for the draw. Actually, they're going to try and though.
They were waiting for the Zerglings, but he just missed. But that's okay, because he's got 5 more behind this. Queens are going to go down. Zerglings don't exist. We got some Balings trying to come in for Sixthelement, but honestly, the Lings could kill these cocoons before they even finish. JonSnow's got to know this. But he goes to the main, and these drones are clumped up. Oh, some big hits go off, and Sixthelement is just bleeding out. GG is called. JonSnow locks down game number 2.